21st, March 25th. I read through it and I saw no issues.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Vaca, second by Mrs. Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Opposed? Mr. Venezia abstained, one abstention. And then we have an April 9th executive session. Again, I didn't find anything in that.
No, move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Vaca, second by Mrs. Davis for the April 9th executive session. Minutes, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Mr. Venezia abstains.
Just a question back on March 10th.
Yeah.
Just point you to the second,
Oh,
there it
it's-
is, I'm sorry. See it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Whenever that comes in. Yeah, David, we don't have this on the agenda.
Now, and I'm actually thinking this is a proposal for a photography club at the high school. I didn't, Mr. Bernard actually sent it to me and I did not include it on the agenda. You can either table it or you can consider it.
Can we consider it if it's not on the agenda, or?
Sure.
I don't
Could-
see why not.
Yeah, you could
There's
bring it, you
nothing
could have,
controversial
right,
about
you could have brought it under
photography
administrative
club.
reports or under memos, correct?
I think this is great.
So why don't we
This
consider
is
that?
an expansion on our arts program. and
Yes.
This is
The facilities are there, they haven't been used in a number of years.
So there's still interest in film photography even with the advent of digital photography?
17 kids have already signed.
Wow, excellent.
So this would be under a new business then?
Yeah.
Concert club
We, this would be under the pilot policy,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Right. And what's the stipend again? Is it
Five.
500 for, okay.
Ah,
Looks good to me.
Sure.
Yes.
Move
This-
to approve.
Second. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Motion by Mr. Jervy to approve the photography club proposal.
Maybe my last motion.
Second by Mrs. Vaca. Any questions?
I don't have time.
Aye?
You don't say.
I don't wanna give it to Mr. Jervy.
It's a proposal for a photography club at the high school.
Right. And we have 17 students signed it, and we already have an advisor, it looks like, who is signed on for the
Right?
proposal. And as Mrs. Vaca said, it's great, because it's another extension of our arts program at the school.
And it's ambitious. They plan on meeting twice a week for 2 hours each session. So you get a lot of bang for your
Yep.
user fee out of
A lot of
this
thank
club.
yous if you out of this one. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, I don't think we have a budget update or a staffing update, but we do have we do have a donation, don't we?
Yes.
Oh yeah, gift to North Reading High School. David, do you wanna take this?
Mr. Bernard is pleased to accept a gift of $8,000 from the North Reading High School Parents Association. The money will be used for a variety of purposes, including major purchase will be a new kiln for the art department, and then various wish list items from various departments, including digital voice recorders for the foreign language, computers, LCD projectors, printers, easels, and a 4-volume primary source set for the library. And the total amount is $8,000.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's a good list.
Move to approve with gratitude.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Vaca to accept with gratitude, second by Mrs. Davis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Subcommittee updates. Do we have any subcommittee updates? I don't think so. Anything from athletic subcommittee?
We did meet, and the athletic director, Dave Johnson, reported, along with Rita Mullen, reported on the progress made with the high school athletic turf I believe there's another meeting coming up shortly, and so I think that's off to a good start. There's also a report about some of the improvements at the little school softball field, and if you haven't seen it yet, you ought to be over there. I had a chance to be over there Friday afternoon, and they're just, well, Jerry, why don't you talk about it, because you were very impressed.
Yeah, I mean, what they've done is not only work on the playing fields, but they've done the work surrounding the playing fields, the landscaping, and they just did another major project. I think that youth softball is actually paying for almost all of it. There was some cooperation, I think, from recreation, but they've done a real nice landscaping job. And quite frankly, I talked to David about this a year ago, it was a mess over there. And they put in fencing, netting, done a tremendous landscaping job, putting in cement curbing along the playing fields there. They just added a slab, I think it's like 12 by 20-foot cement slab on the side of the concession stand that you use for like a patio and barbecuing and things like that. Put in a new retaining wall because of drainage issues, a beautiful wall actually along the right field line. Tremendous, I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic, and it's an improvement not only to the softball fields, but to the entire appearance of the little school on the parking lot side as you drive in. So it's a really nice job, and again, I think youth softball has done a lot of the work, and the playing fields are in excellent condition as well.
I know there's also work being done on the baseball field here at the middle school, and the Diamond Club that worked down in Caryfield is also helping out. So along with recreation, it's just very nice to see the level of cooperation that goes on, not only with some of the athletic youth sports, but also the town's recreation department and the school department. So just ongoing work,
Something even nicer this year, though, comments from parents about the Hood School field looks better.
a lot of work was done on the Hood School field.
So
Again, with the cooperation with recreation, there's a strong commitment to work hand in hand between town and school, and there always has been for many years, but it's really very evident this year.
And just as a side to it, it's really nice to drive down to the center of town, and for a while there, we had the bachelor being built, with the police station being renovated.
The septic
We had
field.
The septic
Yeah.
field, the road.
The road.
Was being done, and it's really, really nice to get out and see everything is, the Briars.
Briars, yep.
Everything is done, it looks beautiful.
Doesn't
I mean,
it
the
look
common,
very nice?
It just, it really is.
The old Ryers still needs to be finished in the back there,
Yeah.
but it does look nice, yeah.
But it really looks
All
nice.
these improvements, the fields, many of these really constitute gifts to the school department, to be recognized as such.
Excellent point, and I know softball had come to one of the athletic
Right.
subcommittee meetings
Right.
Yes.
about, what was it,
Well,
Mark?
it must've been-
It was less than a year ago, I think, or a year ago?
When I was on it last
Yeah,
year.
it was
The first time they
and they had
come
told
one
us
year,
they
yeah.
wanted to do some,
Right.
make some of these improvements, and they did a great job on the fields themselves. And of course, like all of our fields, irrigation's a problem, so it's hard to maintain the grass like you'd want to see it. But they really followed through, and I'm not sure how much they spent, but it's a considerable amount of money. I mean, I can't tell you the improvement, the appearance of that area. And there's a lot of people that use those fields.
Yeah.
Not
We
only,
should try to find out what was spent
Yeah.
and recognize it. as a
because the
gift to
freshman,
schools.
junior varsity teams all practice and play there, but then the youth softball, which is comprised of a number of kids, use it as well. So a lot of people see it, it really looks nice.
And is there work continuing on the high school baseball field? Is that ongoing, and?
There's stages planned.
Right.
To improve in stages. Oh, we have to improve.
And that looks very
stages.
nice, by the way, too. I think the Diamond Club's done a fantastic job out there.
I
Beautiful.
think it's a concerted effort that's been in place for a couple of years, because we don't want to sound as though last year nobody did anything, and this year.
Oh, no.
New
Yeah.
staff and.
Oh, no, going back,
new efforts.
we've always had
It's
this,
been a
Little League
long-term
improved the
plan.
high school field 4 or 5 years ago. They
Right.
put a lot of money into it.
We
so
started,
it's-
with the emphasis with the tennis courts and back here,
Right.
and that's leading to the other fields.
And a lot of it done with volunteer, and Steve said donations, and we ought to see if we can recognize those people, the donations. Okay, we don't have strategic planning.
Actually,
Oh, we do.
this more or less falls under strategic planning. One of my assignments for the year under goals and objectives was to put together some of my thoughts on the changes in education over the last 19 years. And I got it finished, but I didn't have a chance to make copies for everybody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to the superintendent and ask him to distribute it to you. But it's just some thoughts that I hope will help inform the discussion going forward in the strategic planning and a new strategic plan for the district.
Well, as Dr. Troughton said
Wasn't
earlier.
planning to read them all tonight.
Do you want to give us highlights, or, as Dr.
Well-
Troughton mentioned earlier, we're hoping that you'll stay around and help with the new strategic plan on the committee?
I hope to. I think one of the things that has struck me over the years is that until really about 1980, the amount of genuine research in education on what was effective in the classroom and so forth was really quite limited. And about 1980, that changed dramatically, and I say 1980, that's an approximate date. And the amount of research now is very impressive, and it should drive educational decision-making. It doesn't always, because for so long, decisions were based on philosophical positions. And even at legislative levels now, that's still the case. And I tried to suggest that there are two major reasons that I can think of for that. One is that one of the most important questions in education is a philosophical question. Do we provide public education for a kind of vocational training, for a kind of preparation for good citizenship, or for what people usually refer to as the optimal development of the child? And I would suggest that you can never fully answer that question. For anyone to be fully, to reach their full potential, they have to be able to make a positive contribution to society, both in the workplace and in the public forum. And I think if we try to answer that question too finely, we are going to do jeopardy to the other dimensions of the student. The other thing that I think happens is an element of fear. As the economy changes, a lot of people look back to the way things once were and want to recreate that, and you can't go back. There was once a time when most Americans were employed in agriculture. Now, less than 5% provide more food than we need in the country. The same is happening in industry. And there will come a time when 5 to 10% of our workforce is all it takes to provide the manufactured goods that are needed in our society. And the same is going to be true in construction. And most people, if they're going to be making a contribution, are going to be providing services. That's the only way the economy can be sustained. And we have to find ways to do it. Most of the jobs that people graduating today will have in their lifetimes don't actually exist today. So the solution for all of this is that you have to prepare students as lifetime learners. And you have to give them the skills to identify how to develop themselves. And part of it, I'm convinced, is giving them an increasing role in shaping their own education. We do it to some extent by letting them choose electives in high school, and choose their majors in college. But I still remember, and I mentioned this here in the paper, a second grade teacher from Reading who would start each lesson by asking first what the children knew about the topic, and secondly, what they wanted to know about the topic. And over the course of the lesson, she could make sure she included all of the things they wanted to know, and she could correct any of the misconceptions that they brought into the lesson. And they already had a sense as second graders that they were starting to help shape their own education. And this is what it is to be student-centered, that the student has this growing sense of empowerment over the shape and direction of their education. Lifetime learning is really crucial, and the tools to shape it. One more point that I wanted to address in here.